I'd like to welcome a trio of speakers to the stage here who are harnessing the power of analytics with Virginia Tech data. Please welcome Brent Kremer, Steve Kleiber, and Kelsey Huffman to the stage.
Hello, I'm Brent Kremer. I'm the Director of Data Management and Analytics at Virginia Tech. I work within Central IT.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Huffman, and I am part of the fiscal training team under the VP for Finance in Office of Financial Management.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Kleiber. I'm the Assistant Dean for Finance and Facilities in the Pamplin College of Business, and I've been with the university for about 20 years in different roles, and so hopefully we can bring a good discussion to you all about data today.
So EDUCAUSE is a large nonprofit ran by higher ed members dedicated to helping higher ed with technology and business processes. Every year they do a top 10 priorities, and in the past several years, 4 of the top 5 have been data related. So it's a good time for people coming out of college to be in the data field. It is also a difficult time because the tools and the field is changing a lot thanks to AI. This is a Virginia Tech's analytics organization structure. Like most large enterprises, Virginia Tech's analytics is scattered all over Virginia Tech. We have 3 central teams that support and help all the other decentral teams. Governance at the top sets the policy around access. The data platform team, which I run, builds and supports the tools used across the whole university. And then the enabling team are the people that help the people building analytics around best practices and training. And that's where Kelsey sits. So in the middle, we have the domain teams, which are part of the central teams that own specific subject data. Examples would be finance, HR, research. These domain teams do a lot of internal analytics, operational reporting, and they also create a lot of views and other products that the different customers use. The customers, which isn't shown in this diagram, can be a client. If you think about another organization, they would have like clients using the data, or the customer can be an internal team. As an example, Virginia Tech, we're made up of multiple colleges, multiple senior management orgs that act as independent business units that have their own business strategies and their own business plans that they're operating against. So each area uses analytics independently to help them meet their unique goals. They do that by using data products built by the different domain teams. So this model is not unique to Virginia Tech. This is how a lot of enterprise orgs operate. This is important because when you have a job, you want to know where you fit in that model. Knowing these areas exist and establishing good relationships with them is a very fast way to make yourself invaluable to your organization. So there are different types of jobs that exist in the analytics space. These jobs can exist in central IT, where they build and support the tools, and the enabling team, where they train people, and also in the customer departments that use the data in order to help the different areas. In your career, you need to think where you would fit best. So in small companies, in smaller departments, they usually require you to wear multiple hats, right? So you're not just doing one of the tasks. You need to understand what these different roles are, because you might end up struggling with communicating, you may end up struggling with different areas that will make it hard and frustrating to do your job. Whereas in large companies, you can get stuck in a specialty role where you don't really get an opportunity to grow in other roles, as everybody is an expert. So people don't want you involved in a certain area because they're an expert and they don't really need your help. In some cases, these specialty jobs pay well, but it's hard to get jobs outside of those specialty roles. So most employers want you to be great at 2 or 3 things and good at a lot of things. So it's important to have some diversity in those different skills that you have. So as an example, let's look at a data scientist. Like, let's say you get hired to be a data scientist at a company and they say, tell us what products that we should start selling, right? Sell more of. So an example would be, you need access to the data first. So you need to know some data engineering skills to be able to get it. Because if the data doesn't exist, how do you get it? How do you bring it in? How do you clean it? Well, you need those skills. Maybe there's a data engineer that already works there that can help you. Same thing with, like, once you figure out, okay, these are the products I think we should sell more because they're more profitable. Now you have to tell your story. Everybody's talking about storytelling. Well, business intelligence analysts, data analysts, they can help you tell that story and help relate it more to the business. So being able to relate to other people and other skills is really important. So this is my favorite slide. And this is why I love my job at Virginia Tech. So there's a lot of different types of data at Virginia Tech. Though student, finance, human resources, this seems to be the obvious ones. Different kinds of data is really staggering, and probably higher ed has more different types of data than any other industry. So example, facilities tracks maintenance and age of AC units and other pieces of equipment that helps them know when to replace and fix something. Think about earlier today when Norfolk Southern was talking about the maintenance they do on trains. Well, this is a smaller case, but it's kind of the same thing that facilities has to do. Student engagement tracks everything they know about people that attend events. And they use that data based on how many people attend, feedback to better that event year to year. It helps them know where to spend money. The police department uses event data to know where to have patrols. You think about it, it makes sense to have cops where the people are. Learning management is constantly looking at different tools, usage to see what works well for people, what doesn't work well when it comes to the different teaching and learning applications that we offer. So the amazing part about data is how each domain helps other domains, right? So the 3 main domains give demographic information, hierarchy information, they give the structure to the data, and then other domains, they strengthen that main data with the additional information that they provide. So a lot of people, they pull from multiple domains for stuff. So an example would be campus planning. They're constantly reviewing the buildings and the spaces, and they're looking where's the best place to build a sidewalk. Where do we want to build new classrooms? How do people move around campus? So they're pulling information from a lot of different areas to try to understand what makes the most sense. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Kelsey.
Thanks, Brent. And so as Brent was mentioning the enabling team, we have a very unique program here at Virginia Tech called the Fiscal Training Program. And what we do in this program is really connect the business intelligence side, the data, the analytics, to the policies and procedures, because it's important to cross those boundaries and know a little bit of both or a lot of both. And so through this 60-module, 4-tiered program that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we take it all the way from introducing you to policies and procedures, or introducing participants to policies and procedures, really finding where your puzzle piece fits in the whole financial world of Virginia Tech, We then move on to fiscal support, where we talk more about fund accounting, understanding the funds, and we start to introduce business intelligence here. If you can understand the data that you are looking at, you can better portray that data. We move into fiscal management, where we kind of talk more about higher level budget planning and business manager role responsibilities. And then in fiscal leadership, we do higher level strategic planning, leadership development, and maybe some grappling with problems and solutions. And all along this course of these 60 modules, we reference our 2 companion courses, which is going to bring in that business intelligence side. So the Mastering MicroStrategy, as well as Elevate with Excel. And in Mastering MicroStrategy, we teach the data analytics tool to introduce those to help people understand the attributes, the metrics, what's going on inside the system, what is the data that you're looking at. And then taking it out to Excel, and I love how Ben mentioned earlier, Excel still rules the world. And so really giving the skills to present the data that you now know more about. And so what better way to kind of show you the success and what's happening in the program than a quote from a graduate of the Masters of Business Analytics. And that's one of our participants, Shu Pan. So I'm going to read this quote to you. I know that is not very good in the presentation world to read the slide to you, but I think it's very important and impactful to hear what she had to say. So when I started my job, I initially thought I was good at understanding the work because of my background in business analytics. However, as I progressed through the fiscal training program, I realized that there was so much more to learn. I'm really grateful that I chose to be a part of the program because it not only enhanced my knowledge of the university's business intelligence tools, but also provided me with a better understanding of the university's financial and accounting systems and the procedures in place to put the data into context. I will be applying what I have learned in this program to continue contextualizing the data to better understand the factors that influence it, which in turn helps us make more informed decisions with a greater impact. This will also help me avoid misinterpretation, incorrect assumptions, and flawed decision making. So how powerful is that? That you have the skills to analyze the data, but you need to know what you're analyzing. You need to know the why and the how in order to have a better, broader picture of the data that you are looking at. And so in a few moments, Steve is going to show you some data analytics in action and some things that he does. And he's going to show some of his work, some of his dashboards. And put yourself in an employee that's a consumer of that dashboard. And just think about, well, if I didn't know like what research funds were, would I be able to understand what this dashboard, what this data is telling me? And so it's just been an impactful program, and as we kind of put it, it breaks down the silos. It allows you to have conversations from the IT world and communicate in that side, the business intelligence, but also the business side of that BI. So I'll pass it off to Steve.
All right, thank you very much. So let's talk a little bit about use cases with data here at Virginia Tech. As Brent was outlining a few minutes ago, there are a lot of sources of data at this university, and you really need to be able to understand how that data is structured and where it sits and how to access it in order to help translate that into a business use at Virginia Tech. And so what I've got up here on the screen is one example of a business use that we developed. This was in my prior role in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. This is an R1 university, major research. It is, one of the big factors, big performance indicators that drives colleges on this campus. So we needed to understand, kind of the core of that data and what was driving it and how we could evaluate on it and make some decisions about application of resources to make sure that we're continuing to grow that particular resource. So we spent some time building out this kind of comprehensive research dashboard, for lack of a better term. MicroStrategy is the business intelligence tool of record at this university. They refer to these as dossiers, but everybody else in the world calls them dashboards. So here we go. In this particular case, what we're trying to do here, and I don't know how easy it is to see, but there on the left-hand side of that screen, my left, your right. Nope, your left. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it the same way you are. On the left-hand side, you're seeing all of the different pages and chapters related to research that can be explored by the end user here. And again, our goal here is, to make data-informed decisions. I kind of harken back to the presentation at 1 o'clock that, Rishi was talking about. There's a lot of information, but we need to be able to use some of our business intuition to make decisions, right? And so we can't get paralyzed by the amount of information that's here. So one of the things that you're looking at here is, top to bottom, summary to very detailed level of information. Proposals are a pre-indicator of awards. Awards are a pre-indicator of expenditures. And so understanding how that builds on itself and what that will do for your research endeavors is really important. Understanding that at a department level so that you know which departments are performing and you know which departments have capacity to perform, you know what your return on investment is and where you should be putting new tenure track faculty or new resources to kind of elevate that performance. That's critical information to have. And taking it down to the individual PI level, getting a little bit more granular, then you start to understand which faculty are driving that research engine forward. And then you can do things with that information like proactive retention, right? All of these things kind of come together to help us make decisions. And again, you have to understand, what leadership wants. You have to understand how to package that in a way that they can use and understand. And you have to be able to make it so that there are limited barriers to them accessing that information, okay? So access at this university can sometimes be difficult in the sense that there is a governance situation that we have to navigate through. And so creating access for senior leaders around multiple data sources, we have to figure out a way to break that barrier down. And we also have to figure out a way sometimes with the volume of data to make tools like this fast, because as many of you know, if a user comes into a system and the system grinds because it's trying to find the data and trying to generate the information to present it, you will lose that user. And so how do we package it? How do we present it in a simplified format that's useful to the decision makers? And then how do we make it fast and accessible? So when we built this, we wanted to make sure that we were presenting things in that way. So this is research, but we can approach this differently. And so this is a different version. And I'm showing you the one page here that I can show you. I think we talk a lot about transparency. One of the critical components of data is transparency. And there's a difference between internal transparency and how much you're willing to share within your organization and how much you can share outside of your organization. In this particular analysis, there's a lot of kind of inside information here that provides key leadership in our college, Pamplin College of Business, with some of the KPIs associated with things that we're doing. So for instance, on this page, you can get a complete overview of all of the employees that we have in our senior management area and how they all break down. There's more detailed information as you drill down in this particular chapter of the dashboard. At the top, you have a summary that will kind of bring this to life at a very high level and allows leadership to come in and say, okay, how am I doing financially? How am I doing with my human resources? And how am I doing with my program KPIs like student credit hours or enrollment or research expenditures? And so they can see all of that on one page, get a quick health check, and then they can kind of move on with their day, or they can make a critical decision because they have information about the college or the department that helps them navigate in a very complicated world. So I'm going to pop on here and talk about a couple of quick takeaways. Just want to leave time if there are any questions about how we did this or what we're doing. But as you can see here, I think there's the two top points kind of drill into the third point. Point one is you can understand the data, and it's important to understand the data, and we need people that are kind of building the data, but understanding the data is not sufficient, right? Just like we can understand the business practice and we can understand the purpose that we want to achieve, but that's also not sufficient. And so really kind of where transformative success lies is kind of at that nexus of access and data and the training that we have and understanding the use cases and kind of presenting it in a way that is accessible and that helps people make their decisions in a data-informed capacity. And so that's kind of where our mindset is when we're building these things. And so we keep building out more and more of them and keep translating them to other colleges when they ask so that we can be good partners with them as well. So I think I will end there. Let me pop to the next slide, which is our thank you.
We got 4 minutes if anybody has any questions. Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.